All right, hi everyone. First of all, thanks for taking time out of your KubeCon week. I know it's early in the week, but we really appreciate everyone coming. So thanks a million for that. My name is Peter Kelly. I'm the VP of Engineering at Tigera. I'm from Cork, if you don't recognize the accent, which is in Ireland. So it's a short hop from London to get here today. Bit of background about myself. Prior to Tigera, I worked at Nginx. I have a particular interest in L7 and application layer technologies and open source. And I'm lucky enough to support the engineering team across Tigera, so all the different locations that we have, but I'm primarily based in Cork in Ireland. I've attended a few KubeCons down over the years in Europe and North America. The last time I spoke at one was in Valencia in 2022, I think it was, about WireGuard. This is my first time talking at CalicoCon. So. All right, let's get started. So what I'll talk about today is our open source 3.30 release, which is currently being aggressively tested in-house and will be released at the end of April, start of May. It's quite a significant release, maybe one of the most significant releases we've made in our open source project in a long time. Hopefully you'll agree by the end of this presentation. And as Reza was saying, a lot of the code is already merged to open source to our main branch, so you can get access to it today. The official release will be out, blessed and out at the end of April, start of May. So this is how we're going to structure this presentation. So I'll introduce Calico OSS 3.30 and just speak about the significance of it, and I'll walk through some of the key features then that will be included in this release. The most exciting, I think, is around observability. So we'll spend a bit of time looking through our flow logs that we're adding to open source and how you get access to them through a new open source UI called Whisker, and also an API called Goldman. We'll talk a little bit about stage policies and the exciting addition there in open source. We'll also look at Calico Cloud Free Tier, which Reza has mentioned, and how easy it is to get connected with your open source cluster for the first time. We'll talk a little bit about Ingress Gateway, and then there's also a whole other list of features. It's quite a big release. So as we kind of look back over the story of Calico, going back to when the project started in 2016, 9 years ago now, we kind of consider this to be one of the most significant in the history of the project. We're bringing some of our battle-hardened observability features that have been used and kind of battle-hardened by some of the biggest kind of telcos and banks in the world. We're bringing that to open source for the first time. It's something our community has been asking for quite a while. Not only are we adding these observability features, but as I mentioned, we're going to allow you to connect to a free tier in Calico Cloud. And we'll speak about Gateway API and our support for that as well. Okay, so let's start with our observability features. If you've used any of our commercial products, you'll be familiar with flow logs. What these are, they capture the flow of network traffic. So they allow you to trace connections between pods, identify potential security issues, and troubleshoot networking problems. So these flow logs, they contain information about the source and destination, pods of the traffic, if it was allowed or denied, what network policies were involved in the decision about the flow, and other relevant details to the flow. So quite a significant feature in terms of observability capabilities. How you're going to get access to them in open source 3.30 is through the Whisker UI, and I'll show some screenshots of that in a second. Reza has a much more detailed talk right after me. He's going to get into the kind of the guts of flow logs, Whisker UI, and Goldman API. But I will show you some screenshots in a second. We also have a gRPC streaming API called Goldman that is what backs the UI. And obviously that can be used as a building block then as well. So very excited to kind of announce these and give people access to these features. We'll walk through some global stage network policy and stage network policy. And then finally, I'll show you how to connect to Calico Cloud Free Tier. Okay. So this is, drum roll if the video works. Introducing Whisker, which is our new UI capability. It's fully open source, including all of the TypeScript and React. It's available in Project Calico. It's for analyzing flow logs in real time. So it's a streaming API. We're having obviously a bit of a problem with the video, but that's okay because Reza has a detailed walkthrough of this right after my talk. But as you can kind of see here, what you have is you have a list of flow logs, and you have a list of information about these flow logs, such as the time the flow log occurred, the source namespace, destination namespace, source and destination pod, policy, the relevant policy, and if the flow was allowed or denied. We have powerful filtering included in Whisker, so you can filter by the policy name, for example. So if you want to see all the flows that were affected by a policy you just implemented, you can quickly do that through this UI. It's incredibly powerful for troubleshooting. Because this is a streaming API, they come into the UI in real time. We have the ability in the UI to pause that real-time flow to give you a chance to go in and analyze and troubleshoot specific flow logs and specific connections. And then you can resume that real-time stream of flow logs to your UI afterwards. I'm sorry about the video not working, but we'll get that fixed. Just to talk about the API that backs that. So as I mentioned, this is a gRPC streaming API. This is what the Whisker UI is built on top of, and it gives you access to this constant stream of flow logs real-time in your cluster. The filtering capabilities that I spoke about, they're also on the server side, so they're part of this API. They're not something that's done in the front end. So it really is a very powerful API for building on as a building block for other possibilities outside of the Whisker UI. So just to move on to staged policies. So one of the kind of most powerful features that we had in our commercial products was the ability to test and audit a policy before you implement it in your cluster. So this is an extremely powerful feature, as you can imagine. If you get something wrong in your network policy, you can cause a lot of damage to your production traffic in your cluster by denying flows that you didn't mean to. So staged network policy, it looks exactly like a network policy, as you can see over here. The only difference is the type of policy effectively. So what this does is it allows you to test and audit that policy before you actually trigger the real policy. The really cool thing about this is that they appear in flow logs. So they appear just like as if it was a real policy, if it was going to be allowed, if it was going to be denied. So you actually get the observability, you actually get to see what would happen if this policy was real. You can easily then flip that to a real policy just by changing the resource type to Calico network policy. So a very, very powerful feature to be added to open source in this release. As you can see here, this is in the Whisker UI, there's a flow here, and highlighted on the right-hand side, you can see this was a stage network policy. So it just shows that you can implement this test policy, and it'll turn up as a real item in your audited flow logs. As I mentioned, even if this was denied, the traffic will be allowed. So this is not going to actually deny your traffic, but it will allow you to investigate and see the impact of your policy. Moving to the next cool feature that we're releasing. This is an incredible offering that we're bringing to our community. I'm extremely excited about this. For the first time, you can take your open source cluster and you can connect it to Calico Cloud. So Calico Cloud is our SaaS product, if you're not familiar with it. And previously that would support connecting your Calico cluster that would basically upgrade it to Calico Enterprise. So for the first time, you can just connect your Calico open source cluster to a free forever tier in Calico Cloud. This version of Calico Cloud is a subset of the fully paid Calico Cloud product, but it has extremely powerful capabilities, as you can see here. So it includes things like our policy board, so you can build policy through the UI and apply it to your cluster. It includes our service graph, which is our observability and troubleshooting tool built into our commercial offering. You got full access to that in Calico Cloud Free Tier. And then you also get policy recommendations. So in Calico Cloud Free Tier, you'll get recommended policies for your cluster that you can then take and apply to your open source cluster. If you want to disconnect, you can simply disconnect and your open source cluster is left in the exact same state as it was. So it's not intrusive at all and very, very easy to connect. It's one manifest that you grab from Calico Cloud and you apply to your cluster, and that's it. Another often asked for feature in open source is support for some sort of ingress solution. Obviously, every Kubernetes cluster needs some sort of ingress solution. Up until now, Calico open source has not provided one, but for the first time, we're really excited to announce that we are supporting what we're calling Calico Ingress Gateway. To start with, this is an enterprise hardened 100% upstream version of Envoy Gateway. If you're not familiar with Envoy Gateway, it's a sub-project of Envoy, an official sub-project of Envoy. It's extremely popular and battle hardened. So rather than us implementing a Gateway API spec ourselves from scratch, we've leveraged one of the most popular ones out there. We use Envoy ourselves in other parts of Calico, so we're very familiar with the technology. And we've hardened that, so we do a lot of CVE patching and fixes to our very high CVE standards, including upstream fixes in the project before we ship it. So that's the hardened aspect. It's part of all of our offerings, and in open source you get full support for the Kubernetes Gateway API, and there's also really interesting enhancements as well on top of that Envoy Gateway provides, things like rate limiting that go beyond the basic, or not the basic, it goes beyond the Gateway API spec. In some of our enterprise solutions, we have extended capabilities on top of this ingress solution, such as the addition of WAF and other observability tools. So if you kind of step back and look at it in terms of what we offer, this is a significant day, a significant release for Calico open source, where we're up-leveling multiple kind of capabilities in open source for the first time. Significant addition of ingress gateway support. We have flow logs, Whisker, Goldman API for network policy, staged global and staged network policy in addition to that, and observability tools, not only Whisker, but also connecting to Calico Cloud and unlocking the additional observability solution in Calico Cloud free forever. That's not all. There's a whole bunch of other significant features. These may, depending on your interests, be much more important than some of the other features I've talked about. We're adding IPAM support for load balancer types, Metal LB and Cloud load balancer types. We're going to make eBPF the default data plane for new OCP installations. It's part of our confidence and our support for our eBPF data plane solution. As Reza mentioned, we have multiple data planes. There's different choices for different use cases. We will allow users to select specific interfaces for auto host endpoints. So up until now, when you automatically when you use a auto HEP, it will apply to all interfaces on a node when a new node is added to your cluster. So this will allow you to just specify specific interfaces. We're going to support BGP peering for KubeVirt worker nodes in OCP. We're adding additional quality of service controls. So these are things like bandwidth limiting, packet rates, number of connections to workloads. You can actually control additional quality of service capabilities now in OSS 3.30. And lastly, but not least, we're adding Calico support for OpenStack. So just to kind of wrap up time-wise, I hope you agree this is a pretty significant release in Calico open source. You'll get visibility and the ability to do troubleshooting and add security to your service-to-service communication. And you'll be able to manage ingress in your cluster for the first time. There's a whole bunch of other additional features, like I mentioned, and we have our core engineering team. We have some of our core engineers involved in open source at the bottom table here. There's an Ask Me Anything later for our engineers, and they are ready for all of your questions. There's a blog post which goes into more detail about everything that I just talked about. And as I mentioned, we will be releasing this officially at the start of May. Thank you. So we can take any questions now, or I think we're on a time check as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to shout.
Is the ingress gateway pod-based?
Is it pod-based? It is, yes. Yeah, correct. As in the gateway itself deployed as a pod inside the cluster, it is.
So I could mount a Maltese interface to it, for example?
You could, yes. Yeah. Which would be an interesting use case. Yeah. Nice. So the question was, is the ingress gateway pod-based? So is it something that's deployed within the cluster that you could connect, for example, Multis to add multiple interface support? So yes, multiple network support. You can do that, yeah. Any other questions? Another one? Yeah, go for it, yeah.
What's the mechanism of tunneling between Calico OSS and Calico Cloud?
Yeah, we use our own protocol for that, our own tunnel for that. There's a component called Guardian that's open source now. You'll see that in the code base, and on the other side of the tunnel, it's a HTTP tunnel. On the other side of the tunnel, we have another component in Calico Cloud. It's read-only on the open source cluster side, so we don't change anything in your cluster. We don't have any write access to your cluster from that side of the tunnel. Yeah.
It's MTLS, isn't it?
MTLS, yeah. Over HTTP.
You install on your cluster will have a certificate in it that lets you connect.
Yeah, so
People online can repeat.
sure, yeah. So to repeat the question, sure. So the question was, what's the tunnel protocol, the tunneling technology between Calico open source and Calico Cloud? So that tunnel is, we have some components ourselves, as I mentioned, and it's over HTTP and it's MTLS. So there's certificates that are installed as part of connecting Calico Cloud to open source. Yeah.
Question about the ingress gateways. What exactly does it give you? Because most of us already have an ingress gateway, like we use traffic for it. What extra does it give you to also run a Calico ingress gateway?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the question is, what extra do I get by using Calico Ingress Gateway that I don't get from using another ingress solution? So as I said, we use 100% upstream Envoy Gateway. We harden it, so it's hardened. We do upstream CVE fixes. That's the main difference. You get all the additional Envoy Gateway capabilities outside of Gateway API. And this is the first release of that. So we're going to put this out there. We're going to get some feedback. And then we look at integrating more Calico features directly with Ingress Gateway over time. As I mentioned, then on our commercial side, we have additional capabilities like our commercial WAF and other solutions, other features that we integrate with the Ingress Gateway, including observability. So different dashboards and We have dashboards, we have gateway management capabilities through the UI, so the ability to look at HTTP routes and things like that through the UI, that's all will be part of our commercial offering on top of that. But for now in the open source, we're essentially bundling that Envoy gateway. Yeah. So it's a hardened version of Envoy gateway, but other than that, there's no additional capabilities at the moment.
So it will also replace then your existing ingress gateways, not that you change them.
Yeah, the idea is that it would replace your existing ingress controller or gateway solution if you wanted something that was fully supported by Calico. Yeah, like a single vendor. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat. Is there a service mesh with Calico?
A question in the chat. So the question in the chat was, is there a service mesh with Calico? So Calico doesn't offer its own service mesh, but it has the same capabilities as service mesh. So in terms of like encryption, we support WireGuard as a different option compared to MTLS, which you normally get with service mesh. We support policy, so we have application layer policy at L7 in open source and in commercial. And then we have observability, we have metrics and flow logs and dashboards around our L7 capabilities. So we have similar capabilities to service mesh, and we're compatible with service meshes if you have one as well. Okay, all right, thanks everyone, appreciate it.